we'll get into the next game here. Las Vegas Raiders traveling to the Chargers. Chargers win this one 22-10. Jim Harbaugh getting the dub in his first game back in the NFL. Let's start with the Los Angeles Chargers, looking at their top 5 graded players for this game. Edge rusher Joey Bosa, baby. Don't call him dead yet. I saw you people out there. I saw the tweets. I saw the comments. Oh, Bosa's cooked. I don't know. Look at that helmet. You see that helmet too? It's like a motorcycle visor, man. He's locked in. He's got the pure vision now. All pro season.
He was unbelievable. This entire unit was unbelievable there. I mean, that top 3 right there. That's as good as it gets, isn't it?
91.4 overall grade for Joey Bosa. Poona Ford coming in at number 2. He had the interception off the Khalil Mack pass deflection. Ford had an 89.2 grade in this game. Khalil Mack, it feels ageless at this point, 87.2 overall grade. Rashawn Slater on the other side, 74.8 coming in at number 4. And then how about this one? Feel-good story coming in at number 5. Running back J.K. Dobbins, who dealt with so many injuries throughout his college and NFL career. Incredible game, but we'll get into him a little bit more. 74.3 overall grade. Justin Herbert, not his best, 57.5 overall grade there. We flip sides to Las Vegas. Their linebacker, Robert Spillane, he was their top-graded player at an 84.0. Defensive tackle John Jenkins at an 83.6. And the interior offensive line guard Dylan Parham with an 83.2. New addition, Christian Wilkins, 80.8 overall grade. And then Max Crosby held in check a little bit here. I think that we're going to talk about that. 76.5 overall grade is the 5th highest graded Raider from this day. Gardner Minshew coming in at a 61.0 overall grade. Dalton, what's the stat that told the story here?
Okay, so for me, you have Gardner Minshew coming from the Colts to the Raiders in a completely different offense, right? You go from Shane Steichen to Luke Getsy, and it's a world of difference. And Minshew had got real comfortable in Steichen's offense. They run the ball well. They had the RPO game going. This is a much more straightforward classic offense with Getsy, an offense where they need to run the ball. You lose Josh Jacobs. They don't run RPOs and stuff like that like the Colts do with Steichen. So the Raiders, for me, it's 3.3 yards per carry. 22 carries, 73 yards. Zamir White fumbled, and they only had 16 yards before contact. This is another team. I know it feels like I'm repeating myself like it is with the Giants, but they have to be able to have balance. Gardner Minshew's not going to win a game dropping back 45, 50 times either. A bit of a gunslinger. Look, he's a gamer. Love him. He's one of the most entertaining players in football, isn't he? But sometimes I don't need that much entertainment. I need, and this was a close game until the very end, right? They stick with the run, find a way to run block. Any way to run block. You have 2 good tight ends. You can work in some new concepts even to create space with Brock Bowers moving all over the place. The Raiders only running for 73 yards is a recipe for disaster because Minshew, the way at times he can get into streaks of turnover-worthy plays, man, tell me this. I just have a quick question for you. Does Minshew feel like the new Ryan Fitzpatrick?
No, I'll never call anybody.
Well, you can't. You're the Tampa guy. You can't. Fitzmagic in Tampa.
I know what you're saying. He's the archetype. But he's going in that direction.
It's this gunslinging, fun to watch, but don't want him to do too much type of thing. And the problem is yesterday that's what happened. Because you can't just run for 3.3 yards a carry with a guy like Gardner Minshew back there. You can't have him dropping back. And the weirdest part is that's what he did at Washington State under Mike Leach and throw the ball every play. But a lot of that, again, is, 5 or 6 yard passes are basically our run game. I'm going way back. Anyway, he's got the mustache now and everything. They need to run the ball better. You lost Josh Jacobs. You're trying to figure it out, especially on the right side of your offensive line. If they only run for 73 yards a week, it is going to be a long, long year.
Yeah. My stat that told the story, the new guys in L.A., right? And I think that whether it was Jim Harbaugh himself, Jesse Minter, their defensive coordinator, who obviously had those guys flying around playing really, really well this past game, or Ladd McConkey, rookie, leading the team in receptions and receiving yards at 39 receiving yards, 1 touchdown. J.K. Dobbins, I mentioned, new in town, 135 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. Just all of the new that was in L.A. It was going to be a lot of new. We knew that was going to be the case, but these guys already hitting the ground running. To me, that just shows you've got such a great coaching staff. We talked about that the Chargers won the lottery being able to get Jim Harbaugh as their head coach, and it feels like They didn't win the Super Bowl yet or anything, but it feels like the signs are there that this is going to be a damn good football team, and I'm excited to watch them moving forward. I see people in the chat talking about Joe Alt Delete, which I have not seen before and is one of my favorite nicknames.
That's the new best nickname in football. That's spectacular.
That is unbelievable. That is awesome. He is my most impressive here on this game. Now, some people are like, hey, why wasn't Joe Alt in that top 5 for the Chargers? Well, one, a lot of Chargers players playing really well and gaining some really high grades, so that's a reason why. But Joe Alt did allow one pressure, a little bull rush on the edge, and he wasn't as physically imposing as a run blocker. The pass blocking stuff was fantastic for a rookie.
Max Crosby also generally lines up on that side. Alt had the harder assignment. If the Raiders played it like they usually did, because I didn't watch a ton of Crosby, usually he's on that front side over the right tackle. If Crosby lined up the majority of the time there, he obviously had the harder assignment of anybody on that offensive line.
Yeah, I got some numbers for you here, brother. 19 pass blocking snaps for Joe Alt when he was going up against either Max Crosby or Christian Wilkins. 0 pressures. Count them. 0.
First game in the NFL.
First game in the NFL. Unbelievable.
At a new
job.
position.
Incredible job.
Didn't play right tackle at Notre Dame.
Even though the Chargers played really well and we had a lot of players earn some high grades, I don't want anybody to be like, wow, PFF's hating on Joe Alt. We are recognizing what an incredible performance it was from Joe Alt. So really good stuff from the rookie. And then my most disappointing on the other side of things, the Raiders, Trevor Merrick. He had a really good preseason. I like this guy when he was coming out of TCU. It feels like he's just continuing to play better and better and better. Tough game out of the gate. Ended up having a missed tackle that was the Ladd McConkey touchdown. Ended up giving up a big gain later in the game as well. And so it was not a good game from Trevor Merrick. Really low run defense and coverage scores for him, but I think that he will bounce back. But he was my most disappointing because I think so highly of him. What about your most impressive and most disappointing?
Look, I got to go with the guy back off a torn Achilles, and that's J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, give him flowers, baby.
Several other guys who graded higher. The Chargers D-line was the best unit on the field in this game, but 10 carries, 135 yards, a touchdown, 4 missed tackles on just 10 carries, which is excellent, and 3 explosive runs. Are we going to come out of this weekend and he's going to be the best player this weekend that came off a torn Achilles? We still have one game to go, but I mean, joking on that one, sort of. But really, I mean, Dobbins, if he's as a young back, right? They have Gus Edwards in there, and they're it feels like their entire running back room is just familiar with Greg Roman already, so that's an advantage. But if Dobbins as a younger piece can give them the balance. Look, the Chargers came into this offseason and went through the draft knowing, hey, we want to run the football. We drafted Joe Alt. We're fixing this O-line. We're getting backs in here. We got Greg Roman, who's always got a top 10 rushing attack. If Dobbins is the face of that and he can last the whole season coming back from that, that's the level of improvement. This was the worst rushing team in football last year. It
was not great.
It was not great at all. And if it's better all the way around, now you got a two-way threat because Justin Herbert wasn't even great in this game. The running game was the reason their offense succeeded, and Dobbins was the face of that. So huge props to him coming off an injury that's so hard to come back from. And then for me, the most disappointing, my guy Malcolm Kuntz, University of Buffalo man, right?
Wasn't active in this.
He was out for this game.
Yeah.
And I got a little worried when I saw he was out for this game because of how good he is. And I was like, okay, we got to look at the replacements. Tyree Wilson, last year's first-round pick, only played 6 snaps in this game.
He got hurt, though.
Oh, did he? Okay.
He did get hurt.
Okay, so
he
only played 6 snaps and got hurt.
I cannot remember how far into the game it was, but I know he left the game with a knee injury.
Okay, and that's even worse because he's supposed to be the guy they probably would have had a rotation anyway because he can't throw all that load on Wilson. Yes. He struggled last year, but then you have so Wilson gets hurt too. Kuntz is out. Janarius Robinson at 56 overall didn't have any pressures. Charles Snowden at 38.4 overall didn't have pressure. Between those 3 guys, Tyree Wilson was the only one with a pressure, and he only played 6 snaps in the game before getting hurt. So they need Malcolm Kuntz back because as great as Crosby is, and that might even be part of the reason that Crosby's grade was lower than it usually is, was, again, it's been a theme today, hasn't it? Teams with one superstar pass rusher and not a ton of other things that worked, right? I think that was the case. I mentioned it in our Raiders preview. Kuntz is incredibly valuable as a guy who draws attention away from Crosby. Without him, they didn't have that in this game, and it hurt him real bad.